From Canada, Citizens Forum, where we look at the important issues of the day through a lens of democracy and media and try to figure out, how do we build a better country for ourselves? Hello, welcome to Citizens Forum from Canada Citizens Forum. It's April the 12th, 2025. My name is Jack Etkin. I'm here with Norm Ryder and Mehdi Najari. This is a Canadian perspective on news and current affairs. My own perspective is especially from the issues of democracy and media. So it's April the 12th, and we are in the middle of a federal election. And I'm sorry to be almost reading this, but I could never say this if I wasn't reading it. So over the past 5 years, the big problems in Canada have been the cost of living, the housing mess, the healthcare mess, poverty, crime, the destruction of our environment, the cancer crisis, and etc. But I don't think that these are the real problems we face. Things like this, things like the housing mess, for example, those are the symptoms. And the real problem is that we have basically lost our democracy in Canada. Look at housing. Do we Canadians want this housing disaster? Did we vote for crazy high rents and crazy high mortgage payments to the point where it seems that millions of Canadians can barely afford to eat? And yet our governments allowed the banks and the developers and the investors and the speculators to do this housing disaster to us, because the people at the top are the ones getting the money. The banks and the landowners and the investors are making fortunes from the high rents and high mortgage payments that so many people are making. And the problem is that our governments work for them and not for us. That's the only reason we have that mess. Democracy means government of, by, and for the people. But in Canada, we have government, I think, of, by, and for big business and the super rich. Mr. Trudeau worked for big business, and so did Mr. Harper before him, and so does Mr. Carney work for big business, and so does Mr. Poilievre, in my opinion. And so do all of our provincial premiers, including our NDP government here in BC. The NDP is the government here in British Columbia. I was a member of the BC NDP for the past couple of years, and I can assure you 100%, in my opinion, that there is virtually no democracy in that political party. It's run by a small gang at the top, and the gang that runs the BC NDP works for big business and big business only, in my opinion. And I think the same is true of every government in Canada. They work for big business. Look at cancer. Half of us Canadians will get cancer. Why? Because all of our governments allow all the corporations to poison us with virtually anything they want. Have we ever been asked, do you want to be poisoned and get cancer so some corporation can maximize its profit? But that's exactly what's been done to us. And our governments will never ask us if we want to be poisoned because they don't care. The top politicians will happily betray us 365 days a year so they can keep their nice little jobs. Canada has become a corporate dictatorship. It's government of, by, and for big business, when what we need is government of, by, and for the people of Canada. And to me, that is the biggest and most real issue of this election, the loss of our democracy and the fight to get it back. And we can do that. We can build a much better democracy in Canada than what we have now. But step one in that fight is to understand that democracy is important. And I think I can say that our lives and our communities and our society would be much better if we had more democracy in Canada. But today, Canada is run for corporate profit, and they don't seem to give a damn about the rest of us, in my opinion. So democracy is important, and we have to start to work to build a democracy where we have a voice. Or we can continue to let big business run things. But personally, I'm really sick of that. And that's why I support democracy. Mehdi and Norm, any question?
Well, I won't say a question, but I've been thinking about democracy quite a bit, especially with our federal election coming up and how should I vote? And frankly, of the, we'll say 4 major parties, 2 are extremely major, I guess you could say, I can't really see any party leader I want to vote for. And that comes into the whole problem. Why should we just be looking at the leader? Shouldn't the party and, well, as you brought up with the local NDP, the democracy of how the party members want the party to be run, shouldn't that be important? But for some reason, we're tied into this whole cult of the leader. And frankly, I think what I will do when I vote this time is probably write on the ballot. I'll express my opinion. That's very important in a democracy. None of you are worth voting for because, frankly, I don't trust any of them. As you point out, they're not interested in what's good for the people. They're only interested in what's good for their handlers and the big corporate interests.
Mehdi?
I think it's important. Yes, we have a problem, and the problem is not just in Canada. In all Western countries, especially the Anglos of the Five Eyes country, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, UK, and the United States, all of them have the same problems. We have all the same housing, poverty, homelessness, and many other problems. We all have all those in common. But the point is, even with this system, what do we do during this election that we are having in 16 days? Are we going to stay home, or are we going to go and choose not a majority government, but a minority government that will help to push, to listen to the public to some extent?